I teach at a liberal arts college. I have no problem with grade inflation because it's sort of impossible to be the one kind of
holdout.
Yeah. I also find that, I mean, for me personally, it's a privilege to just be around a fresh crop of young people. And it's literally like a Matthew McConaughey quote from Dazed and Confused that I get older and they stay the same age. But in this case, what I mean is you're just sort of engaging with a fresh set of possibilities, but also a fresh set of anxieties, right? And so I think I was drawn to teaching because I wanted to teach people who were just like me, or like I remember being transformed by my professors in college. But in the 1990s, we didn't enter into as large of a world when we were 14. Like, you go to college to learn about all of these things that you can kind of access now on the internet. So I think when I started teaching in 2007, I thought, you know what, I'm going to tell you about the Chinese Exclusion Act, and I'm going to blow your mind, because that happened to me in 1996. But that's not the function of a college classroom anymore, I would say. And so I think I've become more sympathetic to...
Meaning they already know about it?
They may know about it, but if they don't, it's not because this knowledge has been denied to them in quite the same way.
Yeah.
And so I think I've become much more sympathetic to a lot of the anxieties that my students have, or just sort of the world that they're entering into is very different from the world that I entered into. And I'm trying to meet them more where they are, which is a challenge because I think students expect a lot more from institutions. The last thing I'll say is, like, when Ken after he was gone, we all just went back to school because this was 1998. There was institutions just didn't watch over you as much as I think institutions do now. And I think that also has the effect of creating higher expectations for institutions on the side of the student. But, we didn't consult the school for our identity necessarily, and so we didn't know that we should have gone to counseling or like taken the lighter course load or whatnot. We just kind of went back to school, and that made sense in 1998. That wouldn't make sense now. But I don't know.
You have this great line, the thing you learn in college is how to live with other people. And I have to keep reminding myself that, because I think otherwise I would feel very frustrated by all of the changes and all of the ways that we as professors and they as students have been asked to adapt to, like, a very brave new world kind of situation. And just sort of keep it at the level of, if what you get out of sitting in this room with 14 other young people talking about Mary Shelley's Frankenstein is you learn how to like have a conversation, then I've done my job. Because at this point it feels very difficult to know, as you say, like what they don't know, what has been denied to them, what is or isn't available to them. The nature of knowledge and its authority is radically different when you go to your class and your professor knows more than you, as opposed to you go to your class, your professor knows more than you, but your phone knows more than your professor, right? And that I love how you talk about email in this book, because it's like, email, we used to laugh at my dad, be like, oh, Papa doing his emails, Like, we didn't have this sense of, knowledge is just everywhere, and you can get it from Twitter or Wikipedia or your professor. We had the sense that, the only way I'm going to learn anything is if I go to class and listen to this person. So I think that already shifts what we think our role is. When it comes grade inflation, I don't believe in grades, but I think this is my time at Berkeley. I taught at Berkeley after I graduated from Harvard for 12 years. No, more than that. Yeah, 12 years. And at a certain point, you just start to feel like, what are we doing here? Like, why are we teaching our students about, ideology and the problem of institutions and the problem of hierarchies, but being like A, B, C, like it just doesn't, like what I was like, this just feels dumb. And so in my head, I would like, I realized you can't say this out loud to them. I used to say, I tried once being like, you all have A's. And like, let's just go from here. And they just were like, okay, see you never.
Yeah.
Like, why would I come to class? But now in my head, I'm like, you all have A's, like, don't worry, you know. And I try to reassure them that, you know, the way that I'm grading is separate from what I think is their learning process. They're much better pedagogues than I am who actually walk students through this. They say, you know, what do you hope to get out of the semester? What do you hope to learn? I think I like things to be a little bit more fluid. You talk about a Berkeley lecturer straddling the lectern in an almost sexual way. Yeah. And I'm not quite that level of like loosey-goosey, but I like the idea of like a really open space. And I feel like in a time like now, I feel like reciprocity is more important than obligation, if that makes sense. So much of our teaching is like, I teach you and so you give me a paper, but instead thinking of it as like a kind of gift in both directions. Like you're giving me your thoughts, I'm giving you my thoughts, and let's see what comes of this. I feel like is a gentler way maybe to think about this process. A lot of this is the problem of institutions, as you say. It's like the whole like, oh, the students think they're customers and so they're disrespectful. It's like, well, that's not our fault. That's the fault of the institutions that are charging them out, you know, so much money to come. So I feel like we can't fix those problems because they're so big. So it's like I try to keep things as small as possible.